Namo Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharane, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschajade Shatarane. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to this wonderful day when he appeared in this world. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the temple authorities, Panchagoda Prabhu and everyone else for organizing this online Vyasa Puja for Srila Prabhupada. It's not exactly as we would like it. We'd like all to be all together and have a big artik for Srila Prabhupada, offer a big feast to Prabhupada, and be together, watching each other in the temple room make these offerings. But that's not possible now, so this is the second best thing. So thank you for organizing this. And I also thank Sri Kirti Prabhu for informing me about it and scheduling it. I'd also like to first offer my respects to all of my godbrothers and godsisters here in Vrindavan and around the world. I've been enjoying so much this morning hearing the offerings beginning at 9 o'clock. I'd like to say a prayer to all the Vaishnavas. Shakala Vaishnava Pade, Mora Namaskara, Ichi Kichu Aparada Nahuka Amara, Hoyachin Hoyben Prabhur, Jato Bhaktivrindam, Bandana Kori Shabara, Charanara Vinda. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas, praying I may not commit offenses in my attempts to please them. To all Vaishnavas who have ever been, to all Vaishnavas who will ever be, I offer my obeisances to your lotus feet. My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to you. This year I have no tales to share with you of adventures in foreign lands, of festivals so grand that 1 million souls heard the holy names, and tens of thousands took prasad, or of your temples around the world where I was witness to your faithful followers preaching of your wondrous glories far and wide. For exactly 50 years to the day, I have traversed this planet sharing your message of Krishna consciousness wherever I go and with whomever I meet. It was the joy of my life, and I thought it would never end. Then suddenly the entire world came to a screeching halt, and I with it. From where I was stationed in Vrindavan, India, I watched in disbelief as an invisible foe forced the entire human race to their knees, and a lockdown sent the world spiraling downwards like nothing within living memory. But for all the chaos and confusion that has eclipsed the world, the worst outcome has been that the loud chanting of Krishna's holy names has been muffled to a whisper. Usually resounding throughout the world, the names are now chanted and heard only by isolated devotees huddled in front of their computer screens. They watch the best of ISKCON's kirtan leaders, often singing alone, with no call and response to enliven them. As the world struggled with the viral pandemic, I, like other humans on this planet, was forced to adjust to a new reality. The driving force in my life has always been your instructions to me, Srila Prabhupada, to preach boldly and have faith in the holy names. While contemplating the alternatives for continuing my service from behind closed doors, I began searching for directives from your divine grace. How could I sit tight in Vrindavan for months, maybe even for years, and not become restless? Then I remembered an instruction you gave to me in a letter in 1971. Always follow in the footsteps of advanced devotees. Traditionally, Vrindavan is the place where advanced devotees retire to engage in solitary bhajan, day in and day out, with a fixed routine of basic hearing and chanting. Although you have many times warned that neophyte devotees should not leave their preaching services to engage in solitary bhajan, there appeared to be no alternative for me. Fortunately, I was aware of your purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, where you actually invite your disciples to come to Vrindavan for the very purpose of advancing in Krishna consciousness. Quote, "One must go to the Vrindavan forest and take shelter of Govinda. That will make one happy." The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is therefore constructing a Krishna Balaram temple to invite its members as well as outsiders to come and live peacefully in a spiritual atmosphere. That will help one become elevated to the transcendental world and return back home, back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.13.8 purport. To corroborate that the misfortune brought on by the pandemic could be converted into fortune through a lengthy stay in the Dham, I searched online for a lecture of yours that I attended in Geneva, Switzerland on June 1st, 1974. None of us had been in the movement for more than a few years, but that morning you stressed we should all strive to become devotees of the highest caliber through adherence to serious bhajan. I remember vividly hearing you use the phrase, first-class devotee, that morning. Quote, "Every one of you should become a pure devotee, a first-class devotee. In this age, it has been made very easy," you said. "Simply keep yourself clean, do not indulge in the 4 prohibitions, and chant Hare Krishna. Then you will be all first-class devotees." The Hare Krishna mantra chanting means keeping Krishna always within your heart. Think that I have kept one diamond throne, a very costly throne, because Krishna is coming. He will sit down here. Create such a situation within your heart. Now Krishna has been seated. Let me wash his feet with Ganga and Jamuna water. Now I will change his dress and first-class costly garments. Then I will decorate him with ornaments. Then I will give him food for eating. You can simply think of this. This is meditation. It is so easy. Srimad Bhagavatam class, Geneva, June 1st, 1974. Of course, this was not the vision I had for myself when I reached my present age of 71 years. I have dreamt of continuing to travel and preach to my last breath, dying on the battlefield with my boots on, so to speak. But any doubts that remained about sitting tight in Vrindavan, doing solitary bhajan, were dispelled the next day when I chanced upon another one of your stellar purports in Srimad Bhagavatam. Quote, "Thus Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur advocated that every devotee, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, preach the bhakti movement, Krishna consciousness, all over the world. Only when one is mature can he sit in a solitary place and retire from preaching all over the world. Following this example, the devotees of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness now render service as preachers in various parts of the world. Now they can allow the spiritual master to retire from active preaching work. In the last stage of the spiritual master's life, the devotees of the spiritual master should take the preaching activities into their own hands. In this way, the spiritual master can sit down in a solitary place and render nirjana bhajan. Srimad Bhagavatam purport 428.33. Within your words in this purport, Prabhupada, there seemed to be some credence for my newfound fate. The very next day I started following a strict regime of rising early, chanting my rounds and extra, doing my puja, and memorizing Sanskrit verses. I began eating frugally, only once a day. I cut my sleeping down to 4 hours a night and spent 10 to 12 hours a day on studying. I began giving classes online 3 times a week for my disciples on the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham. As the weeks turned into months, I felt I was making a little progress and coming closer to a goal, or rather a challenge you had given to me to go higher and higher in Krishna consciousness in order to understand the deeper mellows of devotional service. At a darshan in New Mayapur, France, on August 5th, 1976, I asked you the following question. Srila Prabhupada, you've mentioned several times in the recent lectures that a pure devotee can see Krishna everywhere, that he's never out of your vision. And at the same time in Shikshastakam prayers, Lord Chaitanya explains that, O Govinda, I'm feeling your separation to be 12 years or more. I'm feeling the world vacant in his absence. Could you explain this? You paused, then you looked at me and you replied, yes, he's praying how you can become mad without seeing Krishna. That is the highest stage. It cannot be explained, but when you go higher and higher, you will understand. Srila Prabhupada. I'm ashamed to say that after so many years, I have still not reached that goal. But I hope that one day I will truly understand how Lord Chaitanya was mad in separation from Krishna. A similar emotion is expressed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Quote, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love of Krishna, namely hearing and chanting. And the process of bhakti yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in the heart, is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I'm not even born in a nice family. Therefore I must simply pray to you, O Gopijana Ballabha, Krishna maintainer and beloved of the gopis. I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain, because I think myself quite incompetent to approach that transcendental goal of life. And so I spend my time here in the abode of the Lord in thoughtful contemplation. There are days when I miss my colleagues, my friends, and my disciples terribly. And Srila Prabhupada, I miss the people too. I really do. All those hundreds and thousands of inquisitive souls who graced our festivals year after year in Poland, America, Brazil, South Africa, Australia, the list goes on and on. Without them, my life is empty, no matter what I do. I think it's the hardest part of this whole situation. I pray to the Lord to watch over and protect them too. When I'm affected by such feelings of empathy, I remember your words, Srila Prabhupada, which give solace to my soul. Quote, once when a cowherd boy named Vrishabha was collecting flowers from the forest to prepare a garland to be offered to Krishna, the sun reached its zenith. And although the sunshine was scorching hot, Vrishabha felt it to be like moonshine. That is the way of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. When devotees are put into great difficulties, even like the Pandavas, as described above, they feel all their miserable conditions to be great facilities for serving the Lord. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 42. Srila Prabhupada, I'll return to my studies now. I have a large pile of your books on the desk in front of me, waiting to be read again and again as I pass this unusual time in solitary bhajan. But behind the books is a quotation in a frame on the wall that is very dear to my heart, a quotation that I glance at several times throughout each day, and which inevitably causes a tear or two to fall from my eyes. Quote, the fortunate town of Navadvip remains on the earth. The seashore remains. The city of Jagannath Puri remains. The holy names of Lord Krishna remain. But alas, alas, I do not see anywhere the same kind of festival of pure love for Lord Hari. O Lord Chaitanya, O Ocean of Mercy, Will I ever see your transcendental glory again? Srila Prabhupada Saraswati, Shri Chaitanya Chandamrita, chapter 12, verse 140. Forever your servant, Indradyumna Swami. Hare Krishna.